Welcome. I'm your host, Christina Haskin, and tonight my guest is Felicia Klliment. She's a nutritionist counselor, and she was a professor at City College in New York City, and she's also the author of a wonderful book, The Acid Alkaline Balanced Diet. It seemed in your book that you were talking about if you do have allergies, that's making more toxic waste because you're eating the wrong things and it's causing problems. Your body's not happy about it. So is there a way to find out without a lot of expensive tests what allergies you have?
Yeah, there is the pulse test, which is very good, and you can do it yourself. You eat a food on an empty stomach, a single food like an egg or a slice of bread, and you wait a half an hour, and then first you take your pulse before you eat, right before, and then a half an hour afterwards. And if the pulse goes up even 3 or 4 beats, it means you're allergic. If your pulse goes up more than that, the more your pulse quickens, the greater the allergy, the more severe the allergy. Yeah. And that's important because if you eat food you're allergic to, you won't be able to digest it and you'll produce acid waste, just like you eating metabolically inappropriate food.
And does the body kind of think that it's a foreign invader and start attacking
Yes, yeah, the immune cells start attacking the body itself. It becomes, in a sense, an autoimmune disease.
Yeah, because it seems like there's a lot of talk about wheat now that
well, a study in Australia showed that pregnant women who eat meat and their fetus is allergic to wheat, that fetus has a good chance of being born with Down syndrome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the problem that it is hard to digest grains for a lot of people, and it's because how long have we been cultivating grains and other foods? Maybe 10,000 years, but for most of the history of human existence, we were hunters.
And what about all the medicines that people are taking? How does that, people taking antibiotics or a lot of prescription drugs, does that affect it's obviously probably upsets the body.
Oh, I'm sure it makes the body more acidic, it upsets balance. And all you have to do is read on the bottle of any prescription that you're taking, and you'll read the side effects are sometimes worse than the disease that the medication is meant to control. And after all, none of these drug medications actually heal the body. They control symptoms.
So if you get your body more back in balance, then what's happening at a cell level that protects a person from catching things or having organs degenerate?
Okay, if you get your body in better balance, first of all, you're not going to have the thickened blood. So that means your cells are going to get enough nutrients and oxygen to be healthy. And after all, everything happens at the cellular level. If you have healthy cells, you have healthy tissues, and if you have healthy tissues, you have healthy organs. So
there's a lot of books now about if you eat acid foods and alkaline foods, and one from each column to balance them. Is that legitimate, or is that a fad thing?
Well, first of all, there's a great difference of opinion as to what foods are acidic and what are alkaline. And some authors recommend eating a lot of alkaline foods. There's no question that green leafy is alkaline, but eating a lot of green leafy for a grain eater might be healthy, but it's not going to destroy the acid waste. These authors seem to think that the problem is too many acid-forming minerals and not enough alkaline-forming. And the fact is that all foods have both alkaline-forming and acid-forming minerals, but in different proportion. And if you eat a wide variety of foods, you're going to get plenty of both kinds of minerals. That has nothing to do with it. The problem is acid waste from undigested food. It's very simple.
So if your digestion is off from another reason, for example, you took too many antibiotics and you don't have a good bacterial balance, and so how does that?
Well, that's a terrible thing. People don't realize antibiotics. They think that after they're finished taking the antibiotics, they can eat some Greek yogurt and they're going to be fine. But that's a drop in the bucket. I mean, the antibiotics destroy the ecosystem, this huge system of friendly bacteria that are really designed to protect us. And of course, the body also says the antibiotics are taking care of the germ, the unfriendly bacteria, so the immune system lays back and says, I don't have to do anything,
Right, it gets weak, yeah.
Yeah, it's the immune system can be lazy just like we can be lazy, but yeah.
So what do people do as an alternative to antibiotics when they're, worried about?
Well, as an example, a friend of mine only yesterday said, what'll I do? I have this congestion and I can't get rid of it. And sometimes I feel hot, I feel my forehead, and I know I have a temperature. And I said, well, let's try some herbs. How about echinacea to purify the blood, and golden seal, which is a natural antibiotic. Well, look, I have to say this about antibiotics. Intestinal disease like colitis, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, these diseases of the intestine were pretty rare, at least uncommon, until the use of antibiotics became widespread. So what does that say about antibiotics?
Yeah.
Yeah, destroying the friendly bacteria in the intestines and then leaving them vulnerable to foods that shouldn't be eaten.
So if somebody did have Crohn's, what do they do, since their bacteria is gone, or whatever the balance is?
Well, again, if they're willing to make dietary changes, they've got a good chance of healing. And I've recommended, for instance, baby food, putting people with real serious intestinal problems on nothing but baby food for a few weeks. There's some organic baby food out there. I don't know how good it is, but that works.
To give the digestive system a rest.
Exactly. You want to treat those inflamed walls of your intestine with kid gloves, and that's how you do it. Or juice, vegetable juice, nothing but vegetable juice. You can do it for 3 months and flourish. Diet is the key. There's no question with Crohn's disease and these other intestinal problems.
And the one thing that I was curious about too is I read about alkaline water, which if you are too acid, does that help, or is that?
Well, I know someone who was allergic to everything. I mean, every single thing she ate bothered her, and she got some alkaline water, and she put a few drops in her cereal. I think oatmeal, and she could eat it and she had no digestive problems.
And why do you think that is? You don't know?
Well, I think the alkaline drops, I think it lowered her acid levels in her stomach, in the digestive tract.
So if somebody finds out that they're too acidic, then they could change, have more alkaline foods and maybe take a little bit of alkaline water? Or?
Yeah, I think it is true. The main thing of reducing acid waste is to eat food that is digested properly, but with alkaline water and eating a lot of alkaline forming minerals, that can be a help, but it's not the key.